Part 3 of how her husband married another woman to humiliate her, but the daughter he rejected came back for revenge. If you are seeing this story for the first time, please check the comment section for the parts 1 and 2 to properly get the full understanding of the story. The first thing Teniola learned as Minister of Women Affairs was that power did not make pain disappear. It only changed the room where pain came to meet you. In Surulere, pain used to knock at the iron gates of the Teniola Center for Girls. It came as hungry children, tired widows, teenage girls carrying school bags with broken zippers, mothers with swollen eyes, and young women who had been told by someone they loved that they were nothing. But in Abuja, pain came wearing perfume. It came through polished doors. It sat in waiting rooms under cold air conditioners. It came with files, petitions, stamped letters, security escorts, and official language that made suffering sound clean. On her first Monday as minister, Teniola Adegoke sat behind a wide mahogany desk inside an office that was bigger than the entire room she and her mother once shared in motion. The windows were tall. The curtains were cream. The Nigerian flag stood in one corner. Her framed certificate from the Nigerian bar hung on the wall beside a photograph of her mother cutting the ribbon at the Bolanle wing. On the desk, in front of her was a nameplate. Hon Teniola Adegoke, Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development. She stared at it longer than she wanted to admit. Not because she was proud, because the name looked too heavy. Outside the office, people were waiting. Directors, permanent secretaries, advisors, reporters, women's groups, men who wanted contracts, politicians who wanted favors, people who smiled too much, people who bowed too low, people who called her honorable minister as if they had not called women like her, stubborn, bitter, too loud, and too ambitious before she became useful. Teniola touched the small empty space in her handbag where her mother's sewing scissors used to be. For years, those scissors had traveled with her like a second heartbeat. They had been in courtrooms, campaign halls, debates, hearings, and hospital rooms. But on the morning she left Surulere for Abuja, she buried them in the earth beside Bolanle's grave. She told herself she no longer needed to carry the lesson. The lesson was inside her hands now. Still, her fingers searched for them whenever she felt afraid. And that morning, she was afraid. Not the kind of fear that made her weak. The kind that reminded her that people were watching. That girls were hoping. That her mother's name was now attached to a law, a school, a movement, and a promise bigger than one family. Her phone buzzed. It was Amaka. Teniola picked immediately. "How is the center?" she asked before Amaka could greet. Amaka laughed softly. "Good morning to you too, Honorable Minister. Don't start. The center is fine. King David fixed the water pump. Zainab is shouting at 3 girls who forged their parents' signature on an excursion form. And baby Bolanle refused to eat beans this morning because she said ministers don't eat beans." For the first time that day, Teniola smiled. "Tell her ministers eat beans when beans is available," I told her. She said, "You are not a real minister then." Teniola leaned back in her chair, closing her eyes for 1 second. "Put her on the phone." There was a small shuffle, then a bright voice came through. "Auntie Tenny, my tailor. I threaded the needle today without help." Teniola opened her eyes. Something in her chest softened. "Did you cut straight?" Small, not fully straight." "That is okay. Straight lines take time." Baby Bolanle was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "When are you coming home?" The question entered Teniola like a needle. She looked around the large office, at the cold floor, the polished desk, the files waiting to swallow her day. "I don't know yet," she said gently. "But soon. You said that last week." "I know. Mommy says you are working for all the girls now." "I am trying." Baby Bolanle sighed like an old woman. "But we are girls too." Teniola did not answer immediately, because children had a way of saying simple things that cut through all the speeches adults use to protect themselves. Yes, Teniola whispered. You are. When the call ended, she sat still for a long time. Then the door opened, and her chief protocol officer stepped in. Honorable Minister, the delegation from the National Women's Development Council is ready. Teniola straightened her blazer. Let them wait 5 minutes, she said. The woman looked surprised. Ma? I said 5 minutes. When she was alone again, Teniola stood and walked to the framed picture of her mother. Bolanle was smiling in that photograph, holding the ribbon with one hand and the old sewing scissors in the other. Her face looked tired, but her eyes looked alive. Behind her, girls were clapping. Femi stood near the gate in his security uniform. King David was holding a microphone that did not work properly. Auntie Carol was crying even before anyone spoke. Teniola touched the frame. Mommy, she whispered, you told me another hand takes the machine. But what happens when the machine is too big? The photo did not answer. Bolanle never answered from photographs. She only answered through memory. And in Teniola's memory, her mother's voice said what it had always said. Cut straight. So Teniola turned from the wall, opened the first file on her desk, and began. By noon, she had listened to 7 speeches, signed 23 letters, rejected 2 suspicious proposals, approved emergency funding for 3 shelters, and argued with a permanent secretary who kept explaining to her why things could not change quickly. He was a tall man with silver hair and a voice like old furniture. Honorable Minister, he said, with due respect, this ministry has procedures. We cannot simply move because people are crying. Teniola looked at him. People crying is exactly why we should move. He adjusted his glasses. Emotion cannot guide policy. No, she said, but pain should inform it. The room went quiet. He forced a smile. Of course, ma. Teniola knew that smile. She has seen it on bank lawyers, politicians, old chiefs, and men who believed a woman with authority was a weather condition that would pass if they waited long enough. At 3:17 p.m., her special assistant rushed in without knocking. That alone told Teniola something was wrong. Ma, there's a situation at the gate. Teniola looked up. What kind of situation? A girl. Maybe 13, maybe 14. She's refusing to leave. Is she violent? No, ma. Sick? I don't know. Then why are you calling it a situation? The assistant swallowed. Because she keeps saying she wants to see the woman who was once called worthless. The pen in Teniola's hand stopped moving. For a moment, the office became very still. What did you say? She says she does not want any other person. She wants the woman who was called worthless. Security tried to move her, but she sat on the ground. Teniola stood. Take me to her. The assistant blinked. Ma, your security detail. Take me to her. The front gate of the ministry was wide and black, with 2 armed guards standing beside it. Cars moved in and out. Staff passed with ID cards around their necks. A few women selling groundnuts stood across the road, watching with interest. And there, near the security post, sat a girl in a faded green dress. She was small for her age, thin in the way children become when hunger has stayed too long. Her knees were dusty. Her slippers did not match. Her hair was cut low, unevenly, as if someone had used anger instead of scissors. She had a small nylon bag tied at the top and pressed to her chest, like it contained her whole life. When Teniola walked closer, the girl looked up. Her eyes were large, too large. They reminded Teniola of children who had learnt early that sleep was not always safe. The guards straightened. One of them said, Honorable Minister, we told her to leave, but Teniola raised her hand. The guard stopped. She crouched in front of the girl, not caring that her expensive trousers touched the dusty ground. What is your name? The girl stared at her. Her lips were cracked. Salewa, she said. Teniola kept her voice soft. How old are you, Salewa? 13. Where are your parents? The girl looked down at her nylon bag. My mother is dead. Teniola swallowed. And your father? He said I should stop calling him that. The wind moved between them. Teniola heard a car horn somewhere far away. What happened? Salewa tightened her grip on the bag. He said I brought bad luck. He said since my mother born me, everything scattered. He said if I was a boy, maybe people would help us. He said I eat too much. His new wife said my face makes the house dark. Teniola's chest tightened. The words were different. The wound was the same. What happened today? Teniola asked. Salewa looked behind her, as if expecting someone to drag her back. They cut my hair, she whispered. Teniola's eyes moved to the uneven patches on her head. Who? My father's wife. She said girls who behave like stubborn goats should look like goats. Then she burned my school books. Teniola felt something hot rise behind her ribs, but she kept her face calm. Children who had seen rage were often afraid of even the rage that came to defend them. How did you get here? I entered bus. From where? Mararaba. Teniola glanced at her assistant, who looked horrified. Mararaba to the ministry was not a small journey for a grown adult, much less a hungry child with no money. Who told you to come here? Teniola asked. Salewa opened the nylon bag and removed a torn newspaper page, folded many times. It was an old article about Teniola's confirmation as minister. The headline was half torn, but her picture was visible. Below it was a smaller image of Bolanle holding scissors. Salewa pointed at the article. My teacher said you were called worthless too, she said. She said you came back. Teniola could not breathe for a second. Not because she was shocked, because the past had just walked to her office gate wearing mismatched slippers. Salewa looked at her with desperate seriousness. Please, ma, she said. I don't want to come back for revenge. I just want somewhere to sleep where nobody hates my face. And that was when Teniola knew. This was not a case, not a headline, not a ministry file. This was the question part 3 of her life had been waiting to ask. What do you do when the girl who was once called worthless becomes powerful enough to save another girl being called the same thing? Teniola stood slowly. Bring her inside, she said. Her assistant hesitated. Ma, protocol. Teniola turned. Protocol did not sleep outside last night. She did. No one argued after that. Inside the ministry clinic, Salewa sat on a bed while a nurse cleaned a cut behind her ear. She ate rice too quickly until Teniola gently told her to slow down. Her hands shook around the spoon. Every few seconds, she looked at the door. Are they coming? She asked. No, Teniola said. You don't know them. I know enough. By evening, child protection officers had been called. A temporary shelter was arranged. The police wanted to take a statement. The ministry lawyer wanted forms signed. Everyone had a process. Everyone had a file. Everyone wanted to move Salewa from pain into paperwork. Teniola knew paperwork mattered. But she also knew that a child could disappear inside a system with clean folders and good intentions. So when they asked where Salewa should be placed for the night, Teniola said, she will stay at my residence. The room froze. Her assistant nearly dropped her tablet. Ma, that is not advisable. Why? Security, media, boundaries, allegations, political enemies. They will say you are using the child for sympathy. Teniola looked through the glass wall at Salewa, who had fallen asleep sitting upright, her hand still holding the nylon bag. They already say many things. Ma, this is risky. Teniola turned back. So was my mother keeping me. No one knew what to say to that. That night, Salewa entered the ministerial residence with fear in every step. The house was beautiful, but not warm. Government furniture, white walls, heavy curtains, staff quarters behind, a dining table long enough for people who never came. Teniola had lived there for 3 weeks and still felt like a visitor. Salewa stood in the doorway, clutching her bag. "Is this your house?" she asked. "It is where I sleep for now." "It is too big." "I agree." "Are you married?" Teniola almost laughed. Children did not respect careful conversation. "No." "Why?" "Because life became busy." Salewa studied her. "People say women who are not married are lonely. People say many foolish things. My father's wife said a woman without husband is like a pot without cover." Teniola walked toward the dining table, and yet rice still cooks. For the first time, Salewa's mouth moved like it wanted to smile, but had forgotten how. Dinner was quiet. Salewa ate slowly this time, watching Teniola between bites. Afterward, Teniola showed her the guest room. The girl stood at the door and stared at the bed. "You can sleep here," Teniola said. "Only me?" "Yes." Salewa frowned. "Nobody else?" "No." "What if I spoil something?" "Then we fix it." "What if I wet the bed?" "Then we wash it." "What if I cry?" Teniola's throat tightened. "Then you cry." Salewa looked at the bed again. Then she asked the question that broke the room open. "What if I wake up and you have changed your mind?" Teniola did not answer quickly, because she remembered a rainy day, a gate, a Ghana must go bag, a father laughing, a little girl holding her mother's hand and trying not to cry because crying would make the world too real. She knelt in front of Salewa. "I may make mistakes," Teniola said. "I may not always know what to say. I may be busy and tired and confused, but I will not throw you away in the night." Salewa stared at her for a long time. Then she entered the room and sat on the bed like he might disappear. Teniola stood at the door until the girl lay down. When she turned off the light, Salewa whispered, "Ma?" "Yes?" "Did your mother ever hate your face?" Teniola closed her eyes. "No," she said. "My mother loved my face when the world did not know what to do with it. My mother loved my face too." "I believe you." "She died when I was 8. I am sorry." Salewa's voice became small. "After she died, nobody called me daughter again." Teniola gripped the door handle. The word daughter entered her like a prayer and a wound at the same time. "Sleep, Salewa," she whispered. "Tomorrow we will start again." But Teniola did not sleep. She sat alone in the sitting room long after the house became quiet. Abuja's night pressed against the windows. Somewhere in the distance, a generator hummed, and the sound carried her back to Mushin so sharply that she almost smelled kerosene. Her phone buzzed. It was King David. "Minister," he said when she answered. "Don't call me that." He chuckled softly. "Auntie Minister, I will block you." His voice became serious. "Amaka told me what happened. The girl at your gate. News traveled through family faster than government." "Yes." "You brought her home?" "Yes." A pause. Then King David said, "You know what this means?" Teniola leaned back. "Tell me." "It means the story has found you again." She closed her eyes. "I am tired, David." "I know. I thought Abuja was where I would build systems, policies, laws, centers in every state. I thought I was done holding individual broken pieces." King David was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Maybe legacy is not only building something big. Maybe it is not becoming too big to carry one child." Teniola wiped her face with her hand. He continued, softer now. "When you brought me into the center, I was not a policy. I was Ronke's son. I was the boy who got what you were denied. You still made space. That was different." "How?" She opened her mouth, but no answer came. King David said, "Sis, you became minister because of girls like her. Don't let the office teach you to see them only as numbers." The words hurt because they were true. After the call, Teniola walked to her handbag and removed a small folded cloth. It was the blue dress she had sewn for baby Bolanle before leaving Surulere. The child had insisted Teniola take it to Abuja first, so the capital would know our family can sew. Teniola held the cloth in her lap. Then she began to cry. Not loud, not the kind of crying that asked to be heard. It was the quiet crying of a woman who had spent her whole life being strong and had suddenly realized strength was not finished with her. The next morning, Salewa woke before sunrise and swept the entire hallway. Teniola found her barefoot, moving quickly, with a broom too tall for her. "What are you doing?" Salewa froze. "Sweeping." "Why?" "So they won't send me away." Teniola took the broom gently from her hand. "You are not here as a house girl." Salewa looked confused. "In my father's house, if you don't work, you don't eat. In this house, children eat because they are children." Salewa stared at her like she had spoken a foreign language. That morning, Teniola cancelled 2 meetings. By 10 a.m., she was sitting across from Salewa in the dining room with paper, crayons, and a plate of toast. "We are going to make a list," Teniola said. Salewa's eyes narrowed. "List of work?" "No. List of things you like." The girl looked blank. "You don't know?" Salewa shook her head. "Food?" "Rice." "What kind?" "Any rice." "Color?" Salewa looked down at her dress. "Green." "Subject in school?" Her face changed slightly. "English." "Why?" "My teacher says I write like someone who has a secret inside her chest." Teniola smiled. "What do you want to become?" Salewa's face closed again. "My father said poor girls should not want too much." "What do you say?" "I don't know." Teniola pushed the paper toward her. "Then we will find out." Salewa picked up a crayon slowly. Her hand hovered over the page. Then she wrote one word. Safe. Teniola stared at it. Of all the things a child could want to become, Salewa had written safe. Not lawyer, not doctor, not minister. Safe. That was the first dream. The smallest dream. The biggest one. Before Teniola could speak, her phone rang. It was her permanent secretary. "Honorable Minister, the press has the story." Teniola's stomach tightened. "What story?" "The girl. Someone from the gate recorded yesterday. It is online. They are saying you staged it. Others are saying you kidnapped a child. The father has gone to a radio station claiming you are holding his daughter for political gain." Salewa looked up. She knew. Children always knew when danger had found their name. Teniola stood. "Where is he now?" "At the radio station. He says he's coming to the ministry with police." Teniola looked at Salewa. The girl had started shaking. "Are they taking me back?" she whispered. Teniola walked to her and crouched. "No. He will say I lied." "Did you?" "No. Then we will stand on the truth. My father always wins." Teniola remembered Femi at the gate, Femi in court, Femi kneeling on marble, Femi dying with the key in his hand after spending his last years learning how to protect what he once destroyed. "No," Teniola said quietly. "Fathers do not always win." She rose and gave one instruction to her staff. "Prepare the conference room. Call child protection. Call legal. Call the police. And call the press." Her assistant's voice shook. "Ma, what are you going to do?" Teniola looked at the words Salewa had written on the paper. Safe. Then she looked at the framed picture of Bolanle on the wall. "I am going to cut straight." By noon, cameras filled the ministry conference room. Reporters whispered. Officials shifted nervously. Salewa sat in a side room with a counselor, away from the cameras. Teniola had refused to expose her face. Her father arrived, shouting outside the gate, with 2 relatives and a woman Teniola guessed was the stepmother. They demanded the child. They accused the ministry of stealing children. They called Teniola arrogant. They said power had entered her head. Teniola did not answer them outside. She walked to the podium in a plain white blouse. No jewelry, no dramatic expression, only calm, and calm frightened guilty people more than anger. She looked into the cameras. Yesterday, she began, a 13-year-old girl came to the gate of this ministry asking for help. She came hungry, frightened, and alone. She said she wanted to see the woman who was once called worthless. The room went silent. Teniola continued, I will not show her face. I will not say everything she told us. A child's pain is not content. Her suffering is not political material. But I will say this clearly. Any child who comes to this ministry asking for safety will be protected first and processed after. We will not return a frightened child to the same hands she ran from simply because those hands claim ownership. Questions exploded. She raised her hand. I know what they will say. They will say I am emotional. Good. A nation that cannot feel for its children is already dead. They will say I am using my past. Good. My past is not a shameful thing. It is evidence. They will say this is not how government works. Then government must learn to work differently. A reporter stood. Honorable Minister, are you saying parents no longer have rights over their children? Teniola looked at him. I am saying children are not property. The words landed hard. She continued, her voice lower now. My mother raised me when the world called me worthless. She did not raise me so I could sit in a large office and send another worthless girl back to be broken quietly. This ministry will investigate. The law will speak. But until the law speaks, that child will sleep where no one hates her face. For 1 second, the room forgot to breathe. Then the questions came again, louder. But Teniola was done. That evening, the country divided itself over Salewa. Some praised Teniola, some insulted her. Some said she was right. Some said she was destroying family values. Some asked why a father's authority was no longer respected. Others asked when fathers who wounded children would finally be held accountable. By night, women began posting stories. Girls too. One wrote, I was Salewa. Nobody opened the gate. Another wrote, my stepmother cut my hair too. I am 30 now and still afraid of scissors. Another wrote, I wish there had been a Minister Teniola when I was 12. At the center in Surulere, Amaka gathered the older girls in the hall and let them talk. Some cried, some were angry. Baby Bolanle sat quietly in the front row, holding a needle and thread in her lap. Later that night, she called Teniola. Auntie, she said, is Salewa coming to our center? I don't know yet. She can sleep in my room when she visits. Teniola smiled tiredly. You don't like sharing your room. I know, but she wrote safe. I saw it on the news. Teniola frowned. They showed the paper? Only the word, not her face. Baby Bolanle became quiet. Then she said, Auntie, when Grandma was alive, did she know there would be many girls like us? Teniola looked toward the guest room where Salewa was sleeping after crying herself empty. Yes, she whispered. I think she knew. Then we have to make more room. Teniola closed her eyes. More room. That was legacy. Not monuments. Not laws alone. No headlines. Room. A room for one more girl. A chair at the table. A bed where crying was allowed. A name spoken gently. A face not hated. A future not mocked. After the call, Teniola walked to Salewa's room. The door was slightly open. The girl was asleep with the blanket pulled to her chin. Her nylon bag was under the pillow. Teniola stepped inside quietly and noticed the paper from the morning on the bedside table. Salewa had added more words below safe. In small, careful handwriting, she had written, Safe, daughter, school, hair grows back, maybe lawyer. Teniola covered her mouth with her hand. Outside, Abuja continued its noisy life. Cars passed, generators groaned, politicians plotted, reporters typed, the country argued. But inside that room, a girl who had arrived with nothing but fear had written maybe a lawyer, and for Teniola, that was more powerful than any Supreme Court judgment. She sat beside the bed and watched Salewa sleep. For the first time since becoming minister, the office did not feel too big. It felt like the beginning of the next pattern. You measure, you mark, you cut, you sew. And when another child arrives torn, you do not ask why the cloth is damaged. You make room on the table. You thread the needle. You begin again. Salewa stayed in the ministerial residence for 3 days, and for 3 days she refused to unpack her nylon bag. Teniola noticed it the first night, but she did not force her. The bag remained under Salewa's pillow when she slept. It sat on her lap when she ate. It followed her from the bedroom to the dining room, from the dining room to the sitting room, from the sitting room to the small study where the counselor came to speak with her. Even when she bathed, she left it by the bathroom door and came out quickly, water still dripping from her elbows, eyes searching to make sure nobody had touched it. On the fourth morning, Teniola found her sitting on the floor beside the bed, tying and untying the bag's handle. You know, Teniola said softly from the doorway, bags also get tired. Salewa looked up. Her face had changed slightly since the day at the ministry gate. The nurse had cleaned the cut behind her ear. A barber had gently shaped her damaged hair so the uneven patches looked less cruel. She had eaten enough to stop holding her stomach after meals, but her eyes were still the same, watchful, ready. The eyes of a child who believed kindness was a trap that had not closed yet. I don't have many things, Salewa said. I know. So the bag is not heavy. That is not what I meant. Salewa lowered her head and began twisting the handle again. Teniola stepped into the room and sat on the floor across from her. Her knees complained immediately. She was not old, but years of standing in courtrooms, campaign halls, and government chambers had taught her body how to ache quietly. What is inside? Teniola asked. Salewa's fingers froze. You don't have to show me. The girl looked at her with suspicion. Then why did you ask? Because sometimes what we carry becomes heavier when nobody knows. Salewa stared at the bag. For a long time, she said nothing. Then, slowly, she untied it. Inside were 4 things. A faded school report card folded into a square. A small torn exercise book. A plastic comb with 3 missing teeth. And a photograph. Salewa picked up the photograph first. It was old and bent at the corners. In it, a younger woman sat on a wooden chair outside a small house, holding a little girl on her lap. The woman had tired eyes, but her smile was wide. The child's hair was in 2 puffballs. Both of them wore green. My mother, Salewa whispered. Teniola took the photograph only when Salewa handed it to her. What was her name? Rukayat. She was beautiful. Salewa nodded, but her mouth shook. She used to say my forehead was too big because God put plenty sense there. Teniola smiled gently. Sounds like something a mother would say. She sold masa in the morning. Then she cleaned offices at night. She would sleep on the bus sometimes and miss our stop. Salewa touched the edge of the photo. When she died, my father said suffering killed her, but my auntie said marriage killed her first. The words entered the room and sat between them. Teniola did not rush to cover them. Some truths were ugly, but they still needed air. What happened after she died? Teniola asked. My father married Auntie Lara. She had 2 sons. She said boys need space. So I started sleeping in the passage. Salewa's voice was flat now, like she was reading from a page she had memorized too well. At first, my father defended me small. Then he stopped. Then he joined her. Teniola folded her hands in her lap to keep from clenching them. What about school? Salewa picked up the report card and passed it to her. Teniola opened it. The marks were not perfect, but they were strong. English, 82. Civic education, 78. Basic science, 74. Mathematics 61, Literature 88. Under teacher's comments, someone had written, "A quiet but gifted child needs support and stability." Teniola read the sentence twice. Needs support and stability. Such small words for such a large hunger. "My teacher, Miss Necker, give me your newspaper picture," Salewa said. "She told me if I ever found myself in real danger, I should go where women are listened to." "She sent you to the ministry." Salewa shook her head quickly. "No, she only said your name. I came by myself. Please don't punish her. I won't. She used to give me bread. Auntie Lara found out and said Miss Necker was teaching me pride." "Did she burn your books after that?" Salewa looked down. "Yes." Teniola closed the report card carefully. The small exercise book was next. "What is this?" she asked. Salewa hesitated. "My secret book. You don't have to show me that one." "I want to." She passed it over. Teniola opened it with care. The handwriting was small and tight. Some pages had poems. Some pages had short stories. Some pages had single sentences written over and over again. "I am not bad luck. My face is not dark. My mother loved me. I will not die in that house." Teniola had to stop reading. Her throat had closed. She remembered her own notebook from childhood, the one where she had written every insult, every date, every name, turning memory into evidence before she even knew what evidence meant. Salewa had done the same thing. Not because anyone taught her. Because wounded girls often became record keepers. They wrote things down so the world would not later tell them they imagined the pain. "This is powerful," Teniola said. Salewa looked at her quickly. "It is not rubbish?" "No. My father said only mad people write to themselves." "Then many great people are mad." Salewa almost smiled. Almost. Before Teniola could say more, there was a knock at the door. Her assistant entered, holding a phone and wearing the expression of someone carrying bad news. "Ma," she said carefully, "the father is at the ministry again, with a lawyer and 2 cameras." Salewa snatched the notebook back and held it to her chest. Teniola rose slowly. "Tell legal to meet me in the conference room." The assistant nodded, then added, "Ma, he is demanding to see the child." "He can demand. He says he has parental rights." Teniola looked at Salewa. The girl had gone very still. "He has parental responsibility too," Teniola said. "Let us discuss the parts he forgot." The ministry conference room was full again, but this time the air felt sharper. Salewa's father, Mr. Adisa, sat at the opposite end of the table in a white kaftan that looked freshly ironed for sympathy. He was not an old man, maybe early 40s, with a handsome face hardened by pride. Beside him sat his lawyer, a slim man with a shiny wristwatch. Auntie Lara sat slightly behind them, her head tied, eyes red from crying that looked practiced. 2 bloggers stood near the wall until Teniola ordered them out. "This is a child protection meeting," she said, "not a market square." Mr. Adisa slapped his palm on the table. "You cannot hide my child from the public and hide her from me too." Teniola sat down calmly. "Good afternoon to you too. I came for my daughter." "Your daughter came to us asking for safety." "She is a child. Children lie." Teniola felt the old anger again. But this time she did not swallow it. She shaped it. "Children also bleed." His jaw tightened. His lawyer leaned forward. "Honorable Minister, with respect, there is no court order removing custody from my client. Whatever domestic misunderstanding occurred has been exaggerated. The child is being influenced." Teniola opened the file in front of her. Medical report shows a cut behind her ear, bruising on her upper arm, signs of underfeeding and emotional distress. Auntie Lara hissed, "Children fall down." Teniola looked at her. "Do school books fall into fire by themselves too?" The woman's face changed, only for a second, but Teniola saw it. Mr. Adisa pointed a finger at Teniola. You are using my family because of your own bitterness. Everybody knows your story. Your father rejected you, so now every father is wicked. The room went silent. The words were meant to cut, but Teniola had been cut by better knives. She leaned back. My father died holding the key to a school for girls, she said. He made mistakes you cannot afford to copy, and still he learned. Do not use him to excuse yourself. Mr. Adisa looked away first. His lawyer cleared his throat. We are prepared to go to court. Good, Teniola said. So are we. You will drag a private family issue into court? No. You did that when you brought cameras to a child protection matter. Auntie Lara began to cry loudly. This girl wants to destroy me. I fed her. I clothed her. Is it because I corrected her? In our days, elders corrected children and nobody carried it to government. Teniola looked at her for a long time. Then she said, correction is not humiliation. Discipline is not starvation. Parenting is not ownership. Mr. Adisa stood. I will not live without my child. Teniola closed the file. Then you may sit here until morning. His lawyer touched his arm, whispering quickly. The man sat down again, but his eyes burned. Teniola turned to the child protection officer. File for interim protective custody today. Contact the school teacher, Miss Neka. We need her statement. Also, request police interview for the child's stepmother and father. Mr. Adisa laughed bitterly. You think you are God because you are minister? No, Teniola said. I know exactly who I am. I am the woman your daughter ran to because the people who should have protected her became the danger. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. That evening, the court granted temporary protective custody for 30 days. Salewa did not celebrate when Teniola told her. She sat on the edge of the bed, holding the court paper. So I don't have to go back today? No. After 30 days, we will review. So maybe later. Teniola sat beside her. Maybe, but not unless it is safe. Salewa folded the paper. Safe can finish. Teniola turned to her. What do you mean? When my mother was alive, I was safe. Then she died. When my teacher helped me, I was safe. Then Auntie Lara found out. When I came here, I was safe. But maybe later, you will be tired. Teniola looked at her hands. This was the part no law could fix quickly. A court could remove a child from danger, but it could not teach her heart to believe danger was not waiting around the corner. I might get tired, Teniola said honestly. Salewa looked up fast. But tired does not mean gone, Teniola continued. My mother was tired every day. She still stayed. Your mother was your mother. Yes, you are minister. I am also someone's daughter. Salewa looked at the court paper again. My mother used to say daughter like it was my name. Teniola's eyes burned. What did she call you? Daughter me. My daughter. The room softened around those words. Teniola wanted to say, I can call you that too. But she did not. Not yet. A name given too quickly could frighten a child who had lost too much. So she only said, then we'll make sure nobody uses that word to hurt you again. The next week was worse. The public argument around Salewa grew bigger than Teniola expected. Some activists praised the ministry. Some religious leaders accused her of attacking fatherhood. A few senators who disliked the Bolanle Act used the issue to question her judgment. They demanded a review of her conduct. Newspapers gave Salewa a name, the minister's gate girl. Teniola hated it. She called every editor she knew and threatened legal action if they published the child's face. Most listened, some did not. One blog posted a blurred picture of Salewa entering the residence. It was enough for children at her old school to recognize her. That night, Salewa locked herself in the bathroom. Teniola found her sitting on the floor, breathing hard. They know, Salewa whispered. Everybody knows. They do not know you. They know enough to laugh. Teniola sat outside the bathroom door, her back against the wall. Opened the door. No, I will sit here then. You have work. Yes, you are important. So are you. Salewa did not answer. For almost 20 minutes, they sat on opposite sides of the door. Then the girl whispered, "At my school, they will call me ministry orphan." Teniola closed her eyes. Children could be cruel in ways adults taught them. "You may not return to that school," Teniola said. "We are looking at options. I don't want a pity school." "What kind do you want?" "Quiet." Then from behind the door, "One where nobody knows my story before they know my name." Teniola opened her eyes. That sentence stayed with her. "Before they know my name." By morning, she knew what to do. She called Amaka in Surulere. "I want to bring Salewa to the center for a while." Amaka did not hesitate. "Bring her. I don't want them treating her like news." "They won't. She is fragile." So were we. "She does not unpack her bag. Then we will not rush her." Teniola exhaled. "What about baby Bolanle?" Amaka laughed softly. "Baby Bolanle has already prepared half her wardrobe for sharing. She also wants to teach Salewa threading. She says every serious girl must know." Teniola smiled for the first time in days. 3 days later, they flew to Lagos, quietly, without press. When the car turned into Surulere and stopped before the center gate, Teniola felt something inside her loosen. The sign still stood strong. Teniola Center for Girls is founded by a mother and daughter who refused to stay down. The gate was freshly painted. The hinges no longer screamed because King David oiled them every Friday in memory of Femi. Near the security post, Femi's old chair remained, now covered with a neat blue cushion. Above it hung a small wooden plaque, "Baba Femi's post." The gate must open gently. Salewa stood beside the car, gripping her nylon bag. "Is this your house?" she asked. Tiniola looked at the compound. Girls were moving between classrooms. Someone was laughing near the clinic. Sewing machines hummed from the workshop. The smell of jollof rice floated from the kitchen. A teacher was scolding a child for running. Somewhere, a group was singing off-key. "Yes," Tiniola said. "This is home." Baby Bolanle ran out first. She was 10 now, slim, bright-eyed, with her grandmother's serious expression and King David's stubborn mouth. Her hair was braided with blue beads. She held a needle case in one hand as if it were an official welcome gift. She stopped in front of Salewa. "Are you Salewa?" Salewa nodded cautiously. "I am Bolanle. But people call me Baby Bolanle because adults refuse to accept that I am growing." Salewa blinked. Teniola pressed her lips together to hide a smile. Baby Bolanle looked at the nylon bag. "Is that all your load?" Salewa stiffened. Baby Bolanle quickly added, "It is okay. When my grandmother left here in the rain, she had only one Ghana must-go bag and a sewing machine head. Small load can still carry big destiny." Teniola's heart nearly broke. Saleva stared at her. "Who told you that?" "Everybody. It is our family story." "I am not your family." Baby Bolanle shrugged. "Not yet." Then she turned and began walking. "Come, I will show you where we keep the good pillows before someone gives you the flat one." Salewa looked at Teniola, confused. Teniola nodded. Slowly, the girl followed. That first day at the center did not heal Salewa. Healing did not happen because a place was kind. Healing happened when kindness stayed long enough to become believable. At breakfast, Salewa sat at the end of the table and hid extra bread in her pocket. Baby Bolanle saw it, said nothing, and later quietly placed 2 more pieces beside her plate. At the workshop, Amaka introduced her simply as our guest, not the girl from the news. The older students looked curious, but no one asked questions because Zainab had warned them with the voice she used in court. In the afternoon, King David showed Salewa the computer lab. She stood in the doorway, refusing to enter. "I don't know computer," she said. King David smiled. "Good. Computers like beginners. They have someone to impress." She did not smile, but she stepped inside. He showed her how to type her name, Saleva. She stared at the screen after the letters appeared. Then she typed it again, and again, and again, as if the machine was proving she existed. That evening, Teniola watched from the veranda as baby Bolanle tried to teach Salewa how to thread a needle. Don't force it, baby Bolanle said importantly. Slow hand, steady eye. Salewa held the needle too tightly. The thread missed. Again, again, again. Her jaw tightened. I can't do it. You can. I said I can't. You said it. That doesn't make it true. Salewa threw the thread down. I don't want to learn. The courtyard went quiet. Baby Bolanle looked startled. Salewa's breathing became sharp. Everybody wants to teach me something. Sit well, greet well, sweep well. Don't cry, don't talk. Be grateful, be quiet. Now needle too. Teniola stepped forward, but Amaka touched her arm gently. Wait, Amaka whispered. Baby Bolanle looked at Salewa for a long moment. Then she sat down on the floor. Okay, she said. Salewa blinked. Okay, what? Okay, don't learn. I thought you would shout. I am not your stepmother. Salewa flinched. Baby Bolanle's face softened. Sorry. Salewa looked away. For a moment, neither girl spoke. Then baby Bolanle picked up the needle and thread again. My grandmother used to say, threading needle is not by force. The hole is small. The thread is soft. If your hand is angry, it will not enter. Salewa wiped her face quickly, angry at the tears. My hand is always angry. Then rest it first. Baby Bolanle placed the needle on the bench between them. You can try tomorrow. That night, Salewa did something new. She left her nylon bag on the chair instead of under her pillow. Teniola noticed. She said nothing. The next morning, Salewa came to breakfast with swollen eyes, but her shoulders were less tight. After eating, she went to the workshop by herself. Baby Bolanle was already there. The needle waited on the table. Salewa sat down. Don't talk too much, she said. Baby Bolanle nodded solemnly. I will talk medium. Salewa picked up the thread. Her hand shook. Once, twice. The thread missed. She took a breath. Slow hand, steady eye. On the third try, it passed through. For a second, Salewa only stared. Then she looked at baby Bolanle. Baby Bolanle grinned like the Supreme Court had just ruled in their favor. You see, Salewa's mouth trembled. It was not a smile yet. But it was no longer only pain. Teniola stood at the workshop door, unseen. Amaka came beside her. You are crying, Amaka whispered. No, I'm not. You are a minister lying badly. Teniola wiped her face. Inside the workshop, Salewa tied a small knot at the end of the thread. Baby Bolanle guided her hand to the cloth. The first stitch was crooked, very crooked, but it held. And sometimes, Teniola thought that was the beginning of everything. Not perfection, not victory, not applause. Just one crooked stitch that did not break. Later that day, Teniola visited her mother's grave behind the school. The garden was quiet. Blue flowers had grown around the stone. Bolanle's name was carved simply. Bolanle Adihoke, mother, teacher, builder. She cut straight. Beside it was a smaller marker for Femi Adegoke, father of Teniola, watchman who learned late. Teniola stood between both graves. For many years, she had thought legacy meant carrying her mother forward. Now she understood legacy was heavier than carrying. It was sharing the weight without dropping it. It was trusting Amaka to lead, trusting King David with the gate, trusting Zainab with the law, trusting baby Bolanle with the needle, and maybe one day trusting Salewa with the story. Behind her, she heard Footsteps. She turned. Salewa stood there, holding a small piece of cloth. A single crooked stitch ran through it. I did it, the girl said quietly. Teniola smiled. I see. It is not straight. Most first stitches are not. Salewa looked at Bolanle's grave. Is this your mother? Yes. The one who loved your face? Teniola's throat tightened. Yes. Salewa stepped closer to the grave. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she whispered, Good afternoon, ma. The wind moved gently through the flowers. Salewa looked at the cloth in her hand. Then she said, almost too quietly to hear, My mother would have liked this place. Teniola placed a hand on her shoulder. For the first time, Salewa did not move away. She would have liked you in it, Teniola said. Salewa looked up at her. Something opened in her face. Not trustfully, not yet, but a window, small, bright, enough. That evening, as the sun lowered over Surulere, Salewa returned to the room she shared with baby Bolanle. She took her nylon bag from the chair and untied it again. This time, she removed the photograph of her mother and placed it carefully on the bedside table. Then she removed the report card, then the exercise book, then the broken comb. Baby Bolanle watched from her own bed, wisely silent for once. Salewa folded the empty nylon bag and put it inside the wardrobe. Not under the pillow, not on her lap, not beside the door, inside the wardrobe, as if she planned to stay long enough to need storage. Outside the room, Teniola saw it from the hallway and stepped back before they noticed her. She pressed her hand to her chest. The country was still waiting for her. Abuja was still calling. There were policies to write, enemies to answer, shelters to fund, laws to defend, girls in every state whose names she did not yet know. But inside one small room in Surulere, a child had unpacked her bag. And for that night, that was enough. Because legacy did not always announce itself with speeches. Sometimes, legacy was a frightened girl placing her mother's photograph on a bedside table. Sometimes it was another girl teaching her to thread a needle. Sometimes it was a crooked stitch. Sometimes it was an empty nylon bag folded into a wardrobe. And sometimes it was the quiet decision of a child who had been thrown away too many times, finally believing, even just a little, that maybe this time nobody was coming to send her out. For 2 weeks, Salewa lived at the Teniola Center for Girls, like someone standing in the doorway of a house during rain, unsure if she had truly been invited inside. She slept in the room with baby Bolanle. But every night before closing her eyes, she checked the wardrobe to make sure her nylon bag was still there. She ate at the long table with the other girls, but she always took the smallest piece of meat, even when Amaka told her there was enough. She attended classes, but she sat at the back, close to the door, as if her body needed an escape route before her mind could learn. But slowly, without announcing itself, the center began to enter her. Not all at once, not like magic. The center entered her in small things. In the way King David never shouted when she made mistakes on the computer, only said, Try again, the keyboard has not reported you. In the way Amaka checked her hair every morning, rubbing oil gently into the short patches and saying, Hair grows back, but confidence must be watered too. In the way Zainab gave her books and did not ask why she cried over certain pages. In the way baby Bolanle talked too much, laughed too loudly, and made space beside her without making Salewa feel like a charity project. And in the way Teniola called every night from Abuja. Sometimes the calls were short because meetings swallowed her. Sometimes she called past midnight, her voice tired, papers rustling in the background. But she called every day. At first, Salewa answered with, Yes, ma, and no, ma, and I am fine, ma. By the fifth night, she said, Baby Bolanle snores. By the eighth night, she said, King David said I type faster than some adults. By the 12th night, she asked, when you were small, did you also feel afraid when people were kind? Teniola did not answer quickly. Yes, she said at last. Sometimes, kindness felt like a chair someone would pull away when I sat down. Salewa was quiet. Then she said, that is how it feels. Then sit slowly, Teniola told her. But sit. So Saleva tried. She sat in class. She sat in the workshop. She sat beside baby Bolanle during evening prep. She sat in the courtyard when the girls sang the school anthem. And each time nobody pulled the chair away, something inside her became a little less ready to run. But peace, Teniola had learnt long ago, always made wounded people nervous, because when you had lived too long under trouble, quiet felt suspicious. The trouble came on a Monday morning. It came in a brown envelope, delivered by hand to the center gate. The new security man signed for it, then carried it to King David. King David saw the sender's name and walked straight to Amaka's office. The envelope was from the family court. Inside was a court summons. Mr. Adisa, Salewa's father, had filed for full custody. He claimed his daughter had been unlawfully influenced, that the ministry and the center were poisoning her against her family, and that Teniola Adegoke was using the child to build political sympathy for a new national shelter project. But the worst part was not the summons. The worst part was the attached statement. Auntie Lara had sworn an affidavit saying Salewa was unstable, disobedient, and prone to stealing. She claimed Salewa had stolen money, lied about abuse, and once tried to burn clothes in the house. She said the girl was dangerous to other children. By noon, the affidavit had leaked online. By 2 o'clock, bloggers had given Salewa a new name, the troubled girl at Tiniola Center. Amaka tried to keep the phones away from her, but children always found what adults tried to hide. Salewa saw it on another student's phone during lunch. She did not scream. She did not cry. She simply stood, walked out of the dining hall, went to the room she shared with baby Bolanle, opened the wardrobe, removed her nylon bag, and began packing. Baby Bolanle followed her in. What are you doing? Salewa did not answer. She folded her report card, her secret book, her mother's photograph, and the broken comb into the bag with shaking hands. Baby Bolanle stood in the doorway. Salewa, I knew it. Knew what? I knew safe would finish. It has not finished. Salewa turned on her. Her eyes were wet but hard. You don't understand because this place is yours. Your name is on the walls. Your grandmother's name is on the building. Your father runs the computers. Your mother runs the clinic. Your auntie is minister. Even your dead people have stones in the garden. Baby Bolanle flinched. Salewa regretted it immediately, but pain had already thrown the words. This place is not mine, she continued, quieter now. It was just borrowing me. Baby Bolanle stepped inside. That is not true. They are saying I steal. They are saying I am mad. If I stay, they will say the center keeps bad girls. They will send me away later. Better I go first. To where? Salewa tied the bag. Anywhere. Anywhere is not a place. It is better than waiting. Baby Bolanle blocked the door. Salewa's face changed. Move. No. Move. No. I said move. No. Salewa pushed her. Baby Bolanle stumbled backward and hit the side of the bed. Her elbow struck the wooden frame. She cried out. The sound froze Salewa. For a second, both girls stared at each other. Baby Bolanle held her elbow, tears filling her eyes. Salewa looked at her own hands like they belonged to someone else. I'm sorry, she whispered. Then she ran. By the time Amaka heard what happened, Salewa had already left through the back gate. The center exploded into panic. King David got on his motorcycle and searched the streets. Zainab called the police, the bus parks, the child protection officer, and Teniola. Amaka stayed with baby Bolanle, whose elbow was bruised but not broken, though her pride was badly wounded. In Abuja, Teniola received the call while sitting in a budget defense meeting. A director was explaining why a shelter renovation had been delayed for 18 months because of procurement complications when her phone buzzed again and again. She saw Amaka's name, then Zainab's, then King David's. Her body knew before her mind did. She stood. The director stopped speaking. Honorable Minister. Teniola picked the call. Zainab's voice came through, tight and frightened. Ma, Salewaran. Everything in Teniola went still. When? 30 minutes ago. We are searching. She saw the affidavit online. She packed. Baby Bolanle tried to stop her. There was a struggle. Is baby Bolanle okay? She is shaking, but okay. Where is King David? Searching. I'm coming. The permanent secretary stood. Ma, the budget session. Teniola was already working. Continue without me. Ma, the committee chairman will not like. Teniola turned at the door. A child is missing. The room went silent. She left. The flight to Lagos felt longer than any court judgment she had ever waited for. On the plane, Teniola sat by the window, phone in hand, reading updates that were not updates. No sighting. No sighting. No sighting. A girl in green seen near Ojuelegba. Not her. A child at the bus stop. Not her. Someone said they saw her near a market. False alarm. Every message tightened the rope around Teniola's chest. She remembered being 4 years old, on a downfall, rain on the window, her mother's hand gripping hers. She had not run because Bolanle held her. Salewa had no mother's hand now. Salewa had a nylon bag, a wounded heart, and the dangerous belief that living first was safer than being sent away. Teniola closed her eyes. Mommy, she whispered, where do thrown away girls go when they run? The answer came before the plane landed. They went where someone once loved them. At the airport, King David called. Still nothing. Check her old school, Teniola said. We did. Check her teacher. Miss Necker said she has not seen her. Check Mararaba. That is too far. She crossed it once. We have people there. Teniola gripped the phone. Did anyone check where her mother used to sell masa? Silence. Then King David said, we don't know the exact spot. I do. She opened the file on her tablet. Salewa's statement had mentioned it. A junction near a small mosque in Mararaba. Morning massa, night cleaning. A mother sleeping on buses. Send someone now. I'll go myself, King David said. No. Wait for me. Minister David. He paused. Then softly. Okay. By the time Teniola reached the center, night had already fallen. The compound was restless. Girls stood in small groups, whispering. Amaka's face was drawn. Zainab had files spread across the table, calling contacts. Baby Bolanle sat on the veranda with her bruised elbow wrapped, eyes swollen from crying. When she saw Teniola, she ran to her. Auntie, I pushed her to stay, and she pushed me. And then she looked scared and ran, and I should have moved, and I should have... Teniola pulled her close. Breathe. It is my fault. No, I blocked the door. You were trying to stop her from leaving. I made her feel trapped. Teniola held the child's face gently. Listen to me. When people are hurt, sometimes love feels like a locked door. You did not hurt her on purpose, but we will learn from it. Baby Bolanle cried harder. What if she doesn't come back? Teniola had no safe answer, so she gave the only true one. We will look until we find her. Then she changed from her ministerial clothes into a simple black dress and flat shoes. King David was waiting by the car. Amaka tried to insist on coming, but Teniola shook her head. Stay with the girls. Zainab stepped forward. I should come. We may need legal. You will be needed here when we bring her back. Not if. When they drove to Maraba in silence, Lagos lights gave way to darker roads. Traffic thinned. Street fires burned in metal drums. Women sold food under umbrellas. Men pushed carts. Children slept on benches beside their mothers' stalls. The city looked different when you were searching for one child. Every small body became a question. Every green dress became fear. At the junction Salewa had described, Tiniola got down. The air smelled of smoke, fried batter, dust, and rain waiting to fall. A woman selling masa looked up when Teniola approached. Good evening, ma. Please, I am looking for a girl. 13. Low hair, green dress, carrying a small nylon bag. The woman studied her face. Recognition entered slowly. You are the minister. I am looking for a child. The woman's expression changed. Many children pass here. This one's mother used to sell masa here. Her name was Rukayat. At the name, the woman's eyes softened. Rukayat's daughter. Yes. The woman pointed toward a narrow road beside the mosque. There is an old room there. Rukayat stayed there before she married that useless man. Sometimes the girl comes to sit outside. I saw someone there this evening. Teniola did not wait. She walked fast, King David behind her. The road was muddy. Rain began in small drops. Dogs barked. A generator coughed somewhere, and for one sharp moment, the sound pulled Teniola back to Mushin so hard she almost stumbled. Then she saw her. Salewa was sitting under the broken shade of a locked wooden door. Knees pulled to her chest. Nylon bag beside her. Rain dotted her shoulders. Her face was turned toward the empty room, as if she could see through the door into another time. Teniola stopped a few steps away. King David stayed back. Salewa, Teniola said softly. The girl did not turn. How did you find me? Your mother loved you here. Salewa's shoulders shook once. He pushed baby Bolanle. She is okay. I am bad. No, I hurt her. You were scared. That is what bad people say after hurting someone. Teniola moved closer, slowly, like approaching a wounded animal. Bad people don't usually run to the place where they miss their mother and cry in the rain. Salewa wiped her face angrily. I am not crying. Okay, I am not going back. Teniola lowered herself onto the wet ground beside her. You don't have to decide that this second. Salewa looked at her then, shocked. You will sit on the ground. I have sat in worse places. You are minister. I was a girl first. Rain thickened. King David stepped forward with an umbrella, but Teniola lifted her hand. He stopped. Salewa stared at the locked door. This was our room before my father, she whispered. My mother used to fry masa outside. I would sleep on a mat. We were poor, but she would touch my face every morning and say, Daughter me, wake up. Your big forehead is wasting daylight. Teniola smiled through the ache in her throat. She sounds wonderful. She was tired. Salewa's voice broke. Everybody says she was strong. I don't want to be strong like that. Strong people die tired. Teniola closed her eyes, because that sentence was too close to her own secret fear. Bolanle had been strong. So strong that people praised her strength after forgetting to ask who made her carry so much. Yes, Teniola said. Sometimes strong people die tired. Salewa looked at her. Then why do you people keep telling me I am strong? Teniola breathed in the wet night air. You are right. We should not only tell children they are strong. We should make the world softer so they do not have to be strong every minute. Saleva's face crumpled. I don't want my story online. I don't want people saying I am troubled. I don't want court. I don't want to be proof. I don't want to be like you. The words struck deep. King David shifted behind them, but Teniola did not move. Salewa seemed terrified by what she had said, but she continued. I don't want to become big because people broke me. I don't want to help everybody. I don't want my pain to become law. I just want my mother. The rain fell harder. For a long moment, Teniola could not speak because Salewa had said what no one had allowed Teniola to say when she was young. Everyone had praised her rising, her brilliance, her revenge, her dignity, her legacy. But nobody asked whether a child should have to turn pain into purpose just to survive. Teniola turned her face upward into the rain. Then she said, I wanted my mother too. Salewa's crying became soundless. I still want her, Teniola continued. Even now, with all the titles, with all the laws, with people calling me honorable, some days I want to go back to that one room in Mushin, put my head on her lap, and be nobody important. Salewa looked at her, eyes wide. But she's gone, Teniola said. And your mother is gone. And that is not fair. It will never become fair because we build something from it. A school does not make it fair. A law does not make it fair. Becoming minister does not make it fair. Her voice trembled now. But we can still choose what the pain is allowed to become. Not because pain is good, pain is not good. But because if we do nothing with it, the people who hurt us get to write the ending. Salewa hugged her knees tighter. I don't know how to go back. To the center, to them. Everybody saw. Baby Bolanle will hate me. No, she won't. You don't know. I know her. I pushed her. And you will apologize. What if she doesn't forgive me? Then you will give her time. What if the girls laugh? Then I will personally become their nightmare. Saleva stared at her. For the first time that night, a tiny laugh escaped. It was small and broken, but it was there. Teniola smiled gently. Then Salewa's face became serious again. What if the court sends me back to my father? Teniola took a slow breath. Then we will fight. Properly, legally, patiently, with evidence. I don't want to stand in court. You may not have to. I don't want my father to hate me more. That part is not yours to control. Salewa looked at the locked door again. My mother would tell me to behave. Maybe she believed children should respect fathers. My mother did too, until my father forgot how to be one. Salewa turned to her. Teniola continued. Respect does not mean walking back into harm. Forgiveness does not mean returning to the fire. Family does not mean silence. The rain began to soften. From the mosque, a man's voice floated faintly into the night. Somewhere behind them, a woman laughed while packing her food tray. Life continued around them, careless and ordinary. Salewa picked up her nylon bag. I am tired. Teniola stood slowly, then offered her hand. Salewa looked at it. This time, she took it. When they got back to the center, the girls were gathered in the hall. Amaka had tried to send them to bed, but nobody moved. Zainab stood near the door. Baby Bolanle sat in front, elbow wrapped, eyes red. When Salewa entered, the room went silent. She froze. Her hand tightened around Teniola's. Baby Bolanle stood first. For a moment, the two girls only looked at each other. Then Salewa stepped forward. I am sorry, she said, voice shaking. I pushed you. I was scared, but that does not make it okay. Baby Bolanle swallowed. It pained me. I know. And you said this place is not yours. Salewa looked down. I know. Baby Bolanle walked toward her. Everyone watched. Then she held out the needle case. You left this in the workshop. Saliva stared at it. Baby Bolanle's mouth trembled. If you run again, carry your sewing things. How will you fix your life without thread? A few girls laughed softly through tears. Salewa took the case. Then Baby Bolanle hugged her. At first, Salewa stood stiff. Then slowly, her arms rose. She held on. Not tightly, but enough. Teniola looked away because some moments were too holy to stare at. That night, after the girls went to bed, Teniola sat with Amaka, King David, and Zainab in the office. The custody hearing was in 1 week. The affidavit had damaged Salewa's name. The father was angry. The media was hungry. And Salewa was not ready to become a symbol. Teniola looked at Zainab. We need to protect her privacy completely. No more public statements about the case. Zainab nodded. Agreed. Amaka folded her arms. And emotionally, we need to slow down. She's not ready for everyone expecting greatness from her. King David sighed. We keep telling wounded children they can become anything. Sometimes they first need permission to become children. Teniola looked at him. He had become wise in a way that still surprised her. You are right, she said. Zainab looked through the file. The teacher's statement will help. Medical reports too. But the father's lawyer will push the troubled child narrative. Teniola's face hardened. Then we changed the question. To what? Not whether Salewa is perfect, whether home was safe. The room fell quiet. That was the truth. Children did not need to be perfect to deserve protection. They did not need good grades, clean behavior, gentle voices, or inspiring stories. They deserved safety because they were children. Later, Teniola walked to the dormitory. Salewa and baby Bolanle were asleep in separate beds. The nylon bag was back in the wardrobe. The photograph of Rukayat was on the table. Beside it was the crooked stitch Salewa had made, now folded carefully. Teniola stood there for a long time. She thought about Salewa's words in the rain. I don't want to be like you. Instead of hurting her, the words had freed something. Because maybe Salewa was not supposed to be another Teniola. Maybe that was a mistake adults made when they rescued children. They wanted the child to rise in a way that made the rescue meaningful. They wanted pain to produce greatness, so the pain would feel less terrible. But what if legacy was not creating another fighter? What if legacy was creating enough safety for a girl to choose softness, to choose ordinary, to choose laughter, to choose a life that did not need a courtroom to prove it what? Teniola walked outside to the graves. The night was quiet after rain. She stood between Bolanle and Femi again. Mommy, she whispered, I think I understand now. The wind moved gently. She does not have to become me. A leaf fell near her feet. She only has to become free. And for the first time since Salewa arrived at the ministry gate, Teniola felt the shape of the ending. Not revenge, not restoration, not even legacy as the world understood it. Freedom. That was the final thing. A girl called Worthless, who no longer needed to prove she was valuable. A girl who could wake up, eat breakfast, go to school, make mistakes, apologize, laugh, grow hair, write stories, and sleep without holding her bag. A girl who could be ordinary and still be treasured. Tiniola wiped her eyes and turned back toward the dormitory. Tomorrow, they would prepare for court. Tomorrow, the world would argue again. But tonight, Salewa was asleep. Baby Bolanle was asleep. The center was quiet. And inside a wardrobe, an empty nylon bag waited in darkness. No longer packed, no longer ready, no longer the only home a child trusted. For tonight, that was victory. For tonight, that was enough. The custody hearing was held on a rainy Thursday morning. The kind of rain that made Lagos look like it was remembering old wounds. Water ran along the gutters outside the family court. Women lifted their wrappers above their ankles. Lawyers hurried under black umbrellas. Children stood beside tired mothers, some crying, some quiet, some already learning how to make themselves small in public places where adults decided their future. Teniola arrived without cameras. That was the first thing everyone noticed. No press team, no photographers, no official convoy blocking the gate, no dramatic entrance. She came in a simple navy dress, her hair pulled back, with only Zainab beside her carrying the file. The reporters waiting outside rushed toward her anyway. Honorable Minister, is it true you are personally adopting the child? Ma, did you pressure the court? Is this case connected to your national shelter policy? Will the girl testify today? Teniola stopped. The rain tapped against the umbrella above her head. She looked at them calmly and said, "Today is not about me. It is not about politics. It is about a child's safety. If you publish her face, her private statement, or anything that exposes her identity further, my ministry will take legal action." A young reporter raised his phone. "But ma, the public has followed the story. The public can follow the law," Teniola said. Then she walked inside. In the waiting room, Salewa sat between Amaka and baby Bolanle. She wore a clean green dress, the color she had told Teniola she liked. Her hair was still low, but Amaka had rubbed it with oil until it shone softly. In her hand, she held a crooked stitch she made at the center, folded into a small square of cloth. Baby Bolanle leaned close and whispered something into her ear. Salewa shook her head. Baby Bolanle whispered again. This time, Salewa almost smiled. Teniola watched them from the doorway. For a moment, she saw two girls instead of one case. One girl, born inside the family's healed wound. One girl rescued from another family's open wound. Both of them sitting side by side under the same roof of mercy. Amaka stood when she saw Teniola. She is nervous. I know. She keeps asking if she has to talk. Teniola walked to Salewa and crouched in front of her. You do not have to perform pain today, she said. Salewa blinked. What does that mean? It means you do not need to cry enough for them to believe you. You do not need to sound perfect. You do not need to become a story for people to clap for. Just answer what the judge asks. If you are tired, say you are tired. If you are afraid, say you are afraid. Salewa gripped the cloth. What if my father looks at me? Then you can look at me. What if he cries? His tears are not instructions. That sentence settled Salewa. Across the hallway, Mr. Adisa arrived with Auntie Lara and their lawyer. He looked less confident than before. The online noise had turned against him after Miss Neka, Salewa's teacher, released a careful statement confirming that she had reported concerns about Salewa's welfare twice before, but no one acted. People who had shouted about parental rights became quieter when they learnt the child had been asking for help long before she reached the ministry gate. Still, pride did not die quickly. When Mr. Adisa saw Salewa, his face tightened. My daughter, he said. Salewa's body stiffened. Baby Bolanle took her hand. Teniola stood between them without touching anyone. Mr. Adisa, she said, the courtroom is ready. He looked at her with anger and something like fear. You have turned my own blood against me. Teniola's voice stayed low. No, your blood ran to us because your house became unsafe. His lawyer pulled him away before he could answer. Inside the courtroom, the judge was not interested in drama. Her name was Justice Ibrahim, and she had the calm face of a woman who had seen too many adults lie smoothly while children shook beside them. She began by clearing unnecessary observers from the room. Reporters were not allowed inside. Bloggers were refused. Only parties, counsel, child welfare officers, and approved guardians remained. For the first time since Salewa's story entered the public eye, the room felt protected. Zainab led the case for the center and the ministry's child protection unit. She was young, but her voice carried the discipline of someone trained by Teniola's legacy and sharpened by her own fire. She did not attack Mr. Adisa first. She attacked the question everyone had been asking. This matter is not about whether a father feels embarrassed, Zainab said. It is not about whether a child is perfectly behaved. It is not about whether a minister is popular or unpopular. The question before this court is simple. Was the child safe in that home? And what arrangement now serves her welfare? She presented the medical reports, the school reports. Miss NECA's statement, the photographs of bond books, the counselor's assessment, the record of previous concerns. She presented Salewa's exercise book, but only after asking the court to seal it from public access. The judge agreed. Teniola watched Salewa exhale. Then Mr. Adisa's lawyer stood. He spoke well, too well. He painted a picture of a grieving widower trying to raise a stubborn daughter. He said poverty made homes imperfect. He said the stepmother had been misunderstood. He said Salewa was influenced by activist language. He said children sometimes exaggerated correction when they wanted freedom from discipline. Then, he made the mistake of asking Salewa to speak. Justice Ibrahim looked at Salewa gently. Do you want to answer questions, my child? Salewa looked at Teniola. Teniola did not nod. She did not instruct. She only looked back with steady eyes. Salewa stood. Her hands trembled, but her voice came out clear enough. Yes, ma. They brought her to a smaller chair, not the witness box. Justice Ibrahim removed some of the heaviness from her voice. Salewa, do you understand why you are here? Salewa nodded. To decide where I will stay. Where do you want to stay? Salewa looked down at the green cloth in her hand. At the center. For now. For now? Yes, ma. I don't know forever yet. The judge's face softened. That is an honest answer. Mr. Adisa's lawyer stood. Salewa, did your father ever tell you he hated you? Salewa swallowed. Not with those words. With what words? The lawyer seemed pleased, as if he had trapped her. Salewa looked at her father for 1 second, then away. He said I brought bad luck. He said my mother died because of my wahala. He said if I was a boy, people would respect him more. He said my face made the house dark when my stepmother said it first. Mr. Adisa closed his eyes. The lawyer tried again. Did he feed you? Sometimes. Did he pay your school fees? Sometimes. So, he cared for you? Salewa thought about it. The courtroom waited. Then, she said, feeding a child, sometimes, is not the same as loving her safely. Teniola shut her eyes. Not because she was sad, because there were moments when a child's truth stood taller than any lawyer in the room. The lawyer had no more useful questions. Then Justice Ibrahim spoke directly to Mr. Adisa. Do you wish to say anything? For the first time, his pride cracked in public. He stood slowly. I was angry after her mother died, he said. I did not know what to do with a daughter who looked like the woman I lost. Sometimes looking at her pained me. Salewa's face twisted. He continued, voice breaking. I blamed her because I could not blame death. I let my wife treat her badly. I told myself it was discipline. But when she ran away, I was not only afraid, I was ashamed. Then people started talking, and I became angry again. Auntie Lara stared at him, shocked. He looked at Salewa. I failed you. The room went still. But this was not like Femi kneeling in court. Teniola felt the difference. Femi's apology had come after everything was exposed, after loss had crushed him, after prison had emptied his pride. Mr. Adisa was still at the beginning. His apology was not a full harvest. It was only a seed. And seeds could die if left in bad soil. Salewa did not run into his arms. She did not cry and call him daddy. She only nodded once, as if accepting that she had heard him, not that he had healed her. Justice Ibrahim made her ruling that afternoon. Temporary custody would remain with the Teniola Center for Girls under Amaka's direct supervision, with the ministry's Child Protection Department monitoring. Mr. Adisa would attend mandatory parenting counseling and grief therapy. Auntie Lara would not have unsupervised contact with Salewa. Family visits could begin after 3 months, only if Salewa agreed and only in the presence of a counselor. Then the judge said something that stayed with everyone. A child is not returned to a house simply because the house is familiar. Familiar harm is still harm. Salewa did not smile when the ruling came. She only pressed the green cloth to her chest and breathed like someone who had been underwater too long. Outside the courtroom, reporters shouted again, but Teniola did not stop. She put Salewa in the middle of the group, surrounded by Amaka, baby Bolanle, Zainab, and King David, who had arrived late after driving through rain from Surulere. They moved like a wall. For once, the world did not get to eat a girl's pain. That evening, the center did not hold a celebration. Teniola refused it. No party, she said. This is not a victory over her father. It is a chance for a child to breathe. So they cooked simple yam porridge. The girls ate quietly. Baby Bolanle gave Salewa the bigger piece of fish and pretended not to notice when Salewa gave half of it back. After dinner, Salewa went to the workshop alone. Tiniola found her there, sitting at Bolanle's old machine. The room smelled of cloth, oil, and memory. You okay? Tiniola asked. Salewa shrugged. I don't know. That is allowed. The girl touched the machine. Did your mother use this? Yes. She carried the head of that machine when my father sent us out. It is heavy. It was. Why did she carry it? Because she knew her hands still needed a future. Salewa traced the metal edge. My father said sorry. He did. Am I bad because I don't want to go back? No, he cried. I saw. I felt sorry for him. That does not mean you must return. Salewa looked up. Can you feel sorry for someone and still stay away? Teniola sat beside her. Yes. Sometimes that is the healthiest kind of mercy. Salewa thought about it. Then she said, I don't want to hate him forever. You don't have to decide forever. Today. I don't want to be like the people who hurt me. You are already not like them. How do you know? Because you are worried about it. For a while, only the evening sounds entered the workshop. Girls laughing outside, plates being washed, a generator starting somewhere far away, then stopping. Baby Bolanle's voice scolding someone for stepping on thread. Salewa looked toward the door. Baby Bolanle said I should sew something for the wall. What wall? The wall where girls write what they want to become. Teniola smiled. And what will you write? Salewa looked down. I don't know yet. You once wrote safe. I still want safe. Safe is a good beginning. Salewa was quiet. Then she whispered, Can I write daughter? Teniola's chest tightened. Yes, she said. You can write daughter. The next morning, Salewa stood before the wall in the main hallway. It was called the future wall. Every girl at the center wrote something there when she was ready. Some wrote doctor, some lawyer, some pilot, some fashion designer, some mother, some engineer. Baby Bolanle had written tailor of laws and cloth, which Teniola still believed was too dramatic, but nobody argued with her. Salewa held a marker. The hallway was empty, except for Teniola, Amaka, King David, Zainab, and baby Bolanle. No crowd, no speech, no pressure. She stood there for almost 5 minutes. Then she wrote, Say first, daughter always, maybe writer. Baby Bolanle clapped once, then stopped when Amaka gave her a look. Salewa stepped back. Her face was not happy exactly. It was something better. It was peaceful. Weeks passed. Then, months. Teniola returned to Abuja, but she came home more often now. Not because the work reduced. The work only grew. The National Shelter Project began in 12 states. The Bolanle Act Enforcement Unit opened offices in every region. The ministry launched a confidential reporting line for children in unsafe homes. It was called the Open Gate Line, named quietly after Femi's final years, though only the family knew that. But Teniola had changed the way she worked. She no longer confused carrying everything with loving deeply. Amaka led the center with a firmness that surprised even herself. Zainab finished law school and became the youngest legal advisor in the center's history. King David trained boys in the evening program. teaching them that manhood was not control, noise, or inheritance, but protection, honesty, and repair. Baby Bolanle grew taller. Her stitches became straighter. She still talked too much, but now Salewa talked back. And Salewa began to write. At first, only in her secret book. Then in school essays. Then short stories. She wrote about a girl who carried a bag because she did not trust doors. She wrote about a woman with a big office who sat on the floor. She wrote about a dead mother who spoke through the smell of massa. She wrote about a school where even broken combs were allowed to stay. One evening, she brought a story to Teniola. Can you read it? She asked. Teniola took the notebook. The title was The Girl Who Did Not Become a Fighter. Teniola read the first page and had to pause. Salewa looked worried. Is it bad? No, Teniola said softly. It is honest. In the story, the girl did not become a lawyer. She did not stand in court and defeat everyone. She did not give speeches. She grew hair. She learned to sleep. She planted ugu in a small garden. She forgave slowly. She laughed loudly. She became a teacher who told children, you do not need to suffer before you matter. When Teniola finished, she closed the notebook carefully. This is the ending I did not know I needed, she said. Salewa smiled fully then. Not almost. Not halfway. Fully. Years moved gently after that. Not without trouble. Trouble still came. Funding delayed. Politicians lied. Families resisted. Girls relapsed into fear. Some boys in the evening program fought. Some mothers returned to unsafe homes before they were ready to leave. Some laws worked slowly. Some wounds reopened during holidays. But the center had learned something from Bolanle's life. You did not build a legacy by expecting pain to disappear. You built it by making sure pain never had the final word. On the 10th anniversary of the Supreme Court judgment that upheld the Bolanle Act, the center held its largest gathering. Women came from Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja, Enugu, Kano, Port Harcourt, and villages whose names did not appear on maps. Former students returned with children of their own. Some were nurses, some lawyers, some tailors, some traders, some mothers, some still figuring life out. None were asked to prove their worth before being welcomed. Teniola, now older, stood on the veranda where Bolanle once watched the girls sing. Grey had started showing near her temples. She had served her country, fought more battles, and turned down more praise than she accepted. People called her a national icon now. She still preferred Auntie Tenny. Amaka stood beside her, strong and full-faced, no longer surprised by leadership. King David walked slowly now, with a slight limp from an old motorcycle accident, holding the hand of his daughter Bolanle, who was no longer baby anything. She was 20, sharp-eyed, and preparing to study law and fashion design because she insisted she would combine both sides of the family. Zainab stood near the stage in her lawyer's robe, laughing with Miss Neka, who had travelled from Abuja to attend, and Salewa stood at the microphone. She was 23 now. Her hair had grown full and thick, braided simply down her back. She wore green, always green, not because it hid her, but because it reminded her of the mother who loved her face. In her hand was a book, her first published book, Safe First. The dedication read, For my mother, Rukayat, who called me daughter. For Bolanle, who built a house inside a room. For Teniola, who opened the gates. And for every child who should not have to become strong before being loved. When Salewa began to speak, the compound became quiet. I came here with a nylon bag, she said. I kept it under my pillow because I believed every place would send me away eventually. People wanted me to become a symbol. Some wanted me to become evidence. Some wanted me to become another Teniola Adegoke. The crowd laughed softly. Salewa looked at Teniola and smiled. But Auntie Tenny told me something that saved me. She told me I did not have to become her. I only had to become free. Teniola's eyes filled. Salewa continued. So I became a writer. I write for girls who are tired of being called strong when what they really need is rest. I write for girls who are called stubborn because they survived. I write for girls who still sleep with bags under their pillows. And I write for the adults who must learn that a child's first dream should never have to be safety. Safety should be where the dreaming starts. The applause rose slowly, then fully. Teniola looked toward the garden. Bolanle's grave was covered in blue flowers. Femi's small stone stood beside hers. The old gate key rested in a glass box in the hallway, opposite the scissors, with a plaque that read, Open gently. Two lessons facing each other. Cut straight. Open gently. That evening, after the celebration, after the food, after the songs, after the speeches, Teniola walked alone through the center. The sewing workshop was quiet. She ran her fingers over her mother's old machine. For the first time in many years, she did not feel the ache of unfinished grief. She missed Bolanle. Yes, she would always miss her, but the missing no longer felt like an empty room. It felt like a lamp left on. Baby Bolanle, now simply Bolanle, entered carrying a small piece of blue cloth. Auntie, she said, I want to show you something. Teniola turned. Bolanle threaded a needle in one smooth motion. Slow hand, steady eye. Then she stitched a straight line across the cloth. Perfect. Teniola smiled. My mother will be proud. Bolanle looked at the stitch, then shook her head. No, she will tell me to teach someone else. Teniola laughed through tears. From the doorway, Salewa appeared with two younger girls. One of them clutched a small plastic bag. Salewa smiled gently. This one came today. She says she does not want to unpack yet. Teniola looked at the child. Small, frightened, watchful. Another doorway. Another beginning. For a moment, the old sadness touched her. Then peace followed, because now she understood. The story did not end because no more girls were hurt. The story ended because there was finally a place ready to receive them. Teniola walked to the child and crouched, just as she had done years ago at the ministry gate. What is your name? She asked softly. The child held the bag tighter. Mariam. Teniola smiled. Welcome, Mariam. You can keep your bag as long as you need. And when you are ready, we have a wardrobe. The child looked confused, but Salewa smiled like someone who understood every word. Later that night, Teniola sat on the veranda with Amaka, King David, Zenab, Bolanle, and Salewa. The compound was quiet. The girls were asleep. Somewhere inside, Maria was sleeping with her bag under her pillow, and nobody was rushing her. The air was clean. No generator smoke. No shouting. No gate closing like punishment. Just the soft breathing of many futures. Teniola looked around at the people who remained. Her brother, who was once supposed to replace her but became her partner in healing. Her sister-in-law who turned care into leadership. The girl who inherited Bolanle's name and needle. The child who arrived broken and became a writer of softness. The lawyer who once was the girl in the yellow raincoat. She leaned back and whispered, We survived. King David smiled. We rose. Salewa added quietly, and we made room. Teniola closed her eyes. That was the final line. Not revenge. Not proving. Not winning. Room. Room for the rejected daughter. Room for the ashamed father to learn late. Room for the son who had been raised wrongly to become gentle. Room for the mother's name to become law. Room for the next girl with a nylon bag. Room for ordinary dreams. Room for rest. Room for laughter. Room for a child to be safe first and anything else later. In the garden, the night wind moved through the blue flowers on Bolanle's grave. If love could speak without words, it spoke there. In the quiet sound of leaves, in the sleeping dormitories, in the old sewing machine waiting for morning, in the gate that would open gently at sunrise, and somewhere deep inside Teniola, the little girl in the yellow raincoat finally put down the last piece of pain she had been carrying. She did not need to come back anymore. She did not need to prove anything anymore. She had become the answer to her mother's prayer. And the house that once threw her into the rain had become a home where no girl had to beg to be called daughter. The last light went off in the Bolanle wing. The center slept. The gate stayed closed, not to keep children trapped, but to keep them safe. And inside the room at the end of the hall, a new girl slept with a bag under her pillow, while across from her, Salewa's book rested on a small wooden table. On the first page were the words every girl at the center would one day learn by heart. You are not worthless. You were never worthless. Rest first. Dream after. And this time, nobody laughed. Nobody sent her away. Nobody called her bad luck. The story ended where it should have begun, with a child sleeping safely, with a mother's love still walking through many hands, with a needle threaded for the next morning, with a gate ready to open gently, and with a legacy that no rain, no insult, no court, no shame, and no man's rejection could ever wash away. The end